So, why are VTubing models so expensive? How do they take so long to make? And why are we paying an arm and a leg for them now when a few years ago we weren't? Well, I'm about to answer all this and more today on Recording Ray. Hi, I'm Ray, Coffee Cat from the End of Time, and today we're going to talk to you a little bit about VTubing models, specifically 2D, but this also applies to 3D in terms of how much effort it takes to make these models. Now, I am not an artist expert, I am not a rigging expert, I am just a simple coffee cat VTuber who, like you, is operating on a budget and may not have a whole lot of time and money to work with to make these models. I get it. A lot of us don't have thousands of dollars to spend on a model. A lot of us don't have the time to learn the skills and make them on our own. Hence why it is a balancing act to make a 2D model and or be able to pay to have someone else make it if you don't have the skills yourself. I will have a video on that particular topic coming up later this week. I have the video recorded. I do need to make some edits, but this is sort of a primer that we did not get to in that video, and ironically, this video is going to be out first. So we're going to talk about the expense of 2D models and why they are so expensive and why they keep seeming to be more expensive. Now, frankly, I don't blame the artists for charging what they do. They need to put food on their table, and for many of them, the art is a sole form of income, meaning that is their job. And sometimes that requires them to charge high rates because their skills are in that high of demand. And that is the first factor is that the sheer demand for their skills has in fact skyrocketed the past several years. It is just because of a lot of factors, but between inflation and the rise of popularity of VTubing, it has gone up. So, my advice for this part of the video is don't invest a ton of money until you have tried it out for yourself. We'll go more into that topic in the next video, but suffice it to say, if you're not sure that this is for you, don't spend thousands of dollars on the model. Don't even try to spend hundreds of dollars, but shop around and see what works best for you. For today, however, we are going to show an example. I completely forgot where I found this free model, but I was able to find a copy of it in my Adobe files because I was studying this to eventually try and make my own 2D model in the future at some point. That is not going to be today, of course. And this greatly illustrates the point that I'm looking to make today. And that is the complexity of these models. Now you can see this model is not overly complex compared to some models like you've seen from Silverveil, Iron Mouse, the Vishojo Talent, Niji Sanji, Hololive, and it's not the same type as 3D models, which are a completely different skill set, but a similar theme applies as a lot of layering and different ideas and texturing and different modeling all comes into play, and there's also rigging, which has to apply to both 2 and 3D models. Now, for 2D, something I did not show on a stream, at least intentionally, is the difference between a full body and a half body. The example here is a full body 2D model, so naturally it is going to be more expensive because it is more work in drawing and rigging. My model, and I have not shown this, is or a half body 2D, and hold on, get up out of the chair. As you can see, I don't have arms. My lower torso is just not there. Thankfully, I am data. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure I would not be living. But it takes a lot less effort to make a 2D than it does a 3D. That doesn't mean it's less skill, but it's just an easier time because there's less to animate, less to model, less to layer. That does not make it or any less, or how should we say, structured and effort driven, but it just takes less time because there's less to do. So, why are there so many layers? Well, as you can see in the photo, we have the clothes, we have the skin, we have the shoes, we have the hair, we have the decorations. So we're going to look at the layers on the right, and unfortunately I don't have an English copy of this, because I think it was a model off a booth. I will definitely put the link in the comments or in the description below. Once I remember where I got the from, because this artist did a fantastic job, and the fact they put it up for free is amazing, and it is a great study article. Though I would not recommend trying to claim the work for yourself. Please, if you use this model for anything in the future, make sure you credit the original artist and give them a shout out because they deserve it and they worked hard. But for today, we're just using it as an example of what all goes into a model. And as you can see, each of these sections is a group, or which is how Photoshop typically likes things structured. And they're layered in a very particular order to bring the look you're seeing here. And this also becomes important during the rigging process because rigging also animates each of these different layers. You can see a recurring theme here. We're talking like lasagna level layers here, but think of like a mile thick lasagna. As you can see, there are multiple layers for every little thing here, right down to the shading and the eyes, right down to strands of hair, right down to the shading on the boots, the skin, the clothes. Everything has a layer, and some of them have multiple layers involved, or as is illustrated here, where there are multiple things in each of these folders. Let's see. Let's see if we can get a great example here. Um, this is a great example where you have your top layer and your subgroups. Each of those subgroups have different layers, and some of the subgroups even have their own subgroups. But as you can see, each of those is its own layer. And if you look on the left part of the screen, you can see different parts being highlighted, sometimes as a group, other times as its own individual little item. And every single thing you are seeing on the screen is its own group. So, as you can see, like just the sheer layering alone would take a very long time. Coloring it, shading it properly, getting the movements right to where it overlaps properly and doesn't clip or during the rigging process, those are all fully efforted items too because they take time to get right. And this is why a lot of models are increasing in price. It is because they are becoming more and more complex to create. Now, if you're like me and on a budget, consider a half body model, or do a PNG, or build your own 3D model using Vroid. And there are other factors that can go into this as well, but that's beyond the scope of this video. My entire point here is the expense of the VTuber model is not the problem. It is a lot of people requesting models that may not be fully interested in the hobby and may find it's not for them. I am not saying that they should not be requesting models. I am just saying it is one factor among many. And that is increasing demand, and the skills with these artists are getting so much better, as you can see from the progression of models like Iron Mouses and Silver Veils, who at the time of recording had just unveiled a new model for her birthday stream last night, and it looked fantastic. And her models have always looked good, and it just blew me out of the water how good it was. And that says a lot, because with the increasing skill, it takes more time to make them, and the quality is getting higher, thus requires more time and more compensation, because a lot of these artists have full dockets and the demand is only increasing. So the only way they can compensate is increasing their prices while to discourage the demand, but still keep the income that they need from their best client. And it's a bad trade-off for some of us, but I get it. It's supply and demand, and there is a lot more demand than there is supply right now. And that's just the truth of it. I hope you found this video informative, and if you like what you see, please like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. It really helps me out a lot growing this channel because it lets YouTube know that you would like to see more of my content and content like mine in the future, and I would very much appreciate your support. I typically stream regularly on Twitch. However, I do also post regularly. I post shorts here, on Twitter, and on TikTok. And you'll be able to catch a lot of content from me that you may not see here over on those. And I really hope to see you all there. And I hope to see you in the next video, which will be VTubing on a budget. Goodbye, everyone, and I'll see you next time.